Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on something, well, vital for pretty much anyone in a learning environment.
That's right, mentoring and coaching.
Exactly, whether you're a student, an educator, anyone really.
And we've got some interesting materials here pulled from a course module that helped unpack these ideas.
Discussion questions, a key assignment, focusing on mentoring, coaching, and how collaboration fits in.
Yep, it all ties together.
So our mission today, let's say, is pretty clear. Pull out the key insights. How do mentoring and coaching actually function?
And how do they link up with collaboration?
And, this is crucial now, what's the role of digital tools in all of this? Okay, ready to jump in?
Let's do it. So first things first, maybe we should get our bearings on the different ways to understand mentoring and coaching.
Good idea. What frameworks are we looking at?
Well, the sources highlight a few key theories. There's transformational leadership theory,
Okay.
situational leadership, and also social learning theory.
Right. So if we think about building those really solid mentor-mentee relationships, say, in education or even professionally, which of these theories feels like it might be the most effective foundation? And maybe more importantly, why?
That is the core question, isn't it? Well, you could look at transformational leadership. That's all about inspiring people, right? Shared vision, motivation.
So kind of setting the direction.
Exactly. It provides that aspirational fuel for the relationship.
Yeah.
But then you've got situational leadership,
Which is more.
more about adapting, tailoring the approach based on where the mentee actually is in their development, like a personalized roadmap.
Okay, so transformational is the North Star, maybe, and situational is the turn-by-turn guidance.
That's a neat way to put it, yeah.
What about the third one, social learning theory?
Social learning theory really emphasizes learning by observing, watching others, imitating.
Role modeling.
Precisely. The mentor acts as a role model, demonstrating skills, sharing experiences. The mentee learns by seeing and then, well, doing.
Makes sense. Okay, so if the goal is fostering like long-term growth and you're dealing with diverse people, different settings, does one theory really stand out?
For sustained growth in varied environments, I'd argue a blend is probably strongest.
A mix. Why?
Well, situational leadership helps you meet people where they are, right? Transformational keeps that inspiration, that bigger goal, in focus. And social learning gives concrete examples to follow.
So you cover more bases that way.
Exactly. People just learn differently. They're motivated by different things. A one-size-fits-all theory, it probably misses the mark for long-term diverse development.
Okay, I get that. Now, the assignment materials, they seem to zoom right in on teaching and learning specifically.
Yes, they do.
How do mentoring and coaching actually look different within that specific context?
Yeah, the assignment really pushes for clarity there. In teaching and learning, mentoring often takes that broader view.
Broader how?
Like the educator's whole professional journey. They're teaching philosophy, classroom management strategies, maybe even career progression. It's holistic.
Right. And coaching them.
Coaching tends to be much more targeted, focused on specific skills or practices that need improvement.
For example.
Giving feedback on a specific lesson plan or maybe honing assessment techniques. It's very skill specific.
So mentoring is the big picture support. Coaching is the fine-tuning.
That's a pretty good summary, yeah.
And how does this all impact, the students' learner success and the educators themselves?
Well, think about it. A well-mentored teacher often feels more supported, more confident. That usually translates into a better classroom atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
More effective learning.
And coaching's impact.
Coaching directly sharpens teaching skills. Better instruction methods, better assessments. That directly leads to, hopefully, improved student outcomes.
Now, the curveball. Digital tools. What happens when we move from a traditional face-to-face classroom to, say, an online asynchronous one? Does that change the influence?
Oh, absolutely. It has to. In those asynchronous settings, you lose all those spontaneous moments, right? The quick chat in the hallway, the informal check-in.
Yeah, those casual interactions are gone.
So mentoring and coaching need to become much more intentional, more structured. Digital tools can help bridge that gap. Video calls, shared docs for feedback, discussion forums.
But it's not quite the same.
It can be tougher, yeah.
Yeah.
Building that same rapport, that deep understanding, it takes real effort from the mentor and coach to be deliberate about communication and creating those, virtual connection points.
That actually leads us really nicely into the second discussion point, which touches on cognition, how our brains work.
Right. Metacognition and dual process theory.
Exactly. How does understanding those cognitive ideas actually make coaching and mentoring practices, well, better, more effective.
It's fascinating, really. These theories give us a window into how people learn. Take metacognition, basically. Thinking about your own thinking.
Self-awareness about learning.
Pretty much. A mentor who gets metacognition can guide their mentee to become more aware of their own learning processes, spotting weaknesses, developing strategies.
Yeah.
Basically becoming a better self-directed learner.
So it's like helping them install their own internal learning coach.
Huh. Yeah, something like that, helping them listen to it better.
Okay. And dual process theory.
That one suggests we have two main thinking systems. System 1 is fast, intuitive, gut feeling. System 2 is slower, more analytical, deliberate.
Right. Fast and slow thinking.
Exactly. So a coach aware of this can help someone recognize when they might be relying too heavily on that fast, intuitive thinking, maybe jumping to conclusions.
And encourage them to.
Engage the slower, more analytical system too. Especially when dealing with complex problems or feedback, it helps avoid biases and promotes deeper reflection.
That makes a lot of sense. But the discussion question also flags potential challenges. What gets in the way when trying to apply these cognitive theories in, say, professional development?
Well, time is a big one, isn't it? Just finding the space for that kind of deep reflection metacognition requires. Busy professionals might struggle to prioritize it.
True. Anything else?
People just have different levels of self-awareness to begin with, and different cognitive biases. Some might be more resistant to feedback or examining their own thinking patterns.
So the approach needs to be tailored.
Absolutely. Adapting the coaching or mentoring style to the individual's cognitive profile and readiness is really key.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. The benchmark assignment brings us back to digital tools again.
Right, how they're reshaping collaboration in learning.
Yeah. What's the big picture there? How are they redefining things?
Fundamentally, they've blown away the old limits of time and space for collaboration.
Right.
Learners, educators, they can work together whenever, wherever, across continents, different schedules, think shared documents, real-time editing, digital whiteboards for brainstorming.
So it's not just about convenience.
No, it changes the nature of collaboration. It shifts from being these distinct events, like a meeting, to something more continuous and always on process.
Interesting. Collaboration is a constant flow.
Kind of, but that requires being really intentional about how you set up those digital interactions. It doesn't just happen magically.
So it's more fluid, but needs more deliberate design.
Exactly. Plus, digital tools often provide ways to track collaboration, document contributions that can boost accountability and help give more specific feedback on teamwork itself.
Okay, so tying this all together now, the assignment asks for practical ways to actually integrate mentoring and collaboration into daily practice.
Right. The how-tos.
And naturally, how digital tools fit into that implementation.
Yeah, it comes back to being deliberate. For mentoring, maybe it's setting up regular virtual check-ins or creating dedicated online spaces like forums for mentees to connect.
Digital portfolios, maybe.
Good one. Using digital portfolios to track progress, reflect, identify growth areas. For collaboration, the tools are endless project management software.
And how does the approach need to change between synchronous, real-time settings and asynchronous ones? We keep coming back to that.
We do, because it matters. In synchronous environments, you might leverage screen sharing for real-time problem solving or use interactive whiteboards. Mentoring might happen more spontaneously.
And asynchronous?
It demands more structure. Clearer instructions, set deadlines for collaborative tasks, dedicated channels for communication that isn't happening live. Mentors might provide more detailed written feedback or record video commentary.
So you really have to leverage the strengths of each format.
Definitely. You design activities differently depending on whether people are together in time or not.
And the assignment also stresses that this needs to be research-based, right? With scholarly sources.
Absolutely. This isn't just about throwing tools at the problem. Any recommendations need to be grounded in what educational research tells us actually works.
Showing an understanding of the theories and best practices.
Exactly. Backing up suggestions with evidence is key.
Okay, wow. We've covered a fair bit of ground here. If you had to distill it down, what are the absolute key takeaways for someone listening?
Okay, essential insights. 1, mentoring and coaching, they're different, but both vital for growth for learners and educators.
Got it. 2,
understanding how we think metacognition, dual process stuff, can seriously boost how effective that support is.
makes coaching smarter.
Yeah. 3, digital tools have totally changed the collaboration landscape, New possibilities, fewer barriers,
but requires care.
which leads to 4. Effectively using those tools for mentoring and collaboration means being thoughtful, planning deliberately, adapting to the context, synchronous or asynchronous.
So quick recap then. We've got the core theories, the cognitive insights, the digital transformation of collaboration, and practical strategies for integrating it all, grounded in research.
That sums it up nicely. It's about seeing how these pieces connect the human element, the technology, and using both effectively to foster real learning and development.
This has been really illuminating. A great deep dive into how mentoring, coaching, and collaboration intertwine. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure. Always good to talk through these things.
And for you, our listener, as you think about all this, here's a final thought to maybe chew on. With technology evolving so fast, how might the very definitions, the very practices of what makes effective mentoring, coaching, and collaboration continue to shift and change in the future? Something to keep an eye on.